Good morning, everyone. Um, it's Wednesday. It's my Monday. You guys have already been grooming a couple of days. Now, my video this week, I just shaved this little girl down because they've had a coat on her, and I haven't seen her in probably like 7, 8 months. And so she was matted. Now, I'm going to try to save the face, okay? I shaved her down with a 5 lightly, trying to save what I can. I will bring the camera a little closer. But her ears are matted. They're felted kind of thing. And I want to show you guys how to save those type things on a dog that you're shaving down, especially when we're going into winter. The last thing we really want to be doing is shaving the dog completely naked all over. Don't get me wrong, if there's a reason for it, do it. My reasoning here was she was matted. So I tried to save and do as much as I could on saving anything. So what I'm going to do is I want to show you guys how I deal with matted ears, and that most of the time I can save any matted ear, matted tail, and surprise the owner. Okay, I go short for the bodies, but for dogs that I still want to have a nice big teddy bear head, and I do not want to shave those ears. Sometimes if they're matted, like on their cheek area, I'll shave it a little forward and almost sort of kind of do like a schnauzer cut. But it's sort of blended in, so it's really short on the sides, and I still have a top knot. But what I'm doing is I want to show you how to deal with matted ears, okay? Whether it be along show dog ears, along Shih Tzu's ears, or you just want to save some ears because you don't like the shaved ear look, or your client doesn't. So I'm going to bring you guys a little closer. So bear with me. All right. Hopefully this should be close enough and I can try to do it. Now, I don't know what everybody uses, but I tend to use a couple of things. Now, I'm doing this dirty, okay? She's dirty. I'm doing this because, one, if we wash her, I'm going to spend forever trying to dry those matted ears. If I do it now, I can at least dry it straight. Because the other thing, if you've ever noticed when you are doing matted ears on a dog, you may wash them and dry them and try to brush them out. If it's a white dog, you definitely can see you still got some dirt still in those ears. They're frizzy. They don't actually brush out and lay nice. That coat's really frizzy because it's been all kinked up and looking like this. I mean, that's like a big felt on the end of that ear. Now, like I said, I can save a lot of these and not feel like I'm torturing the dog too much. So what I'm going to do, okay, is show you guys a few techniques on how to do this. One, you get some really small little blunt tip scissors if you're nervous with big pointy ones. Now these scissors are they're Purple Dragons. There's the cheapy ones you can buy off of like Geek or Wish or something like that. They're nice, they're good, they're sharp, but to me they're a cheap quality pair of scissors. They're the only thing I'm actually going to cut on her. I'm not going to bring my big Senseis, my expensive ones out. So depending on what you're comfortable with. If you're really good, you can take even just your regular clippers with a 40 blade. This is a diamond cut clipper. I just bought this. I've only tried it on a handful of dogs. So far I'm happy. It's only a 3-in-1, so it has a 40, 10, and like a 9 or something like that adjustment. So it's not really a 5-in-1, but blades are still detachable and still buy new ones. But so let's get started really quick. So when you are working with a dog that has a matted ear, no matter how big or bad this is, you can pretty much save this. I've saved some pretty bad stuff. Now, when you have scissors, okay, when you get ready to go over that ear, we're going to pretend my hand's the ear, okay? You always cut mats this way, okay? Never try to cut them like this. This is where a lot of people go wrong, especially owners, because they go to pull skin up, and what happens is they pull that mat up trying to get up underneath it, and then they pull that skin up, and then they just go in and cut a nice big hole in there. So always when you go in and cut mats, always make sure that your blades are going in like this. And the other thing, okay guys, when you put your scissors in, okay, don't try to do the whole thing. Take pieces at small pieces at a time. So I'm going to start right here smack dab in the middle, and I'm going to slide my scissors through, okay? But you want to make sure you can see the other tip, the end of it, before you actually cut, okay? I'm going to move this down just a hair more. There we go. So when you put your scissors into a mat, okay, you want to see or feel the other end of your scissors before you commit to cutting, because you have no clue as to what's inside that, okay? So as you saw, I've only cut this twice. Now I've opened that mat up, and I can see, you can kind of gently pull it apart. Sometimes it only needs a few cuts, but if this happens to be a lot bigger, okay, I call this slicing. Okay, so we're going to basically, once you kind of get that mat cut in half, you can see the structure of it a little bit more. You take it, and you can almost saw right through it. Okay, now here's the deal. I just cut that, so I cut a whole bunch of short hairs all over the place. When you take it and you kind of saw through it, you will save more hair. So depending on what dog you're doing, this is just a pet dog. I have no problem cutting, and I'll deal with whatever I have left over. If this is a show dog, like I've had my standard poodle Atom, get a little matted in places, and you don't want to rip and pull that hair out, but you need to do something about it. This is where you take it and you kind of just do a little sawing action. You shouldn't be hard. If these are nice sharp scissors, it should almost glide right through, okay? So once you can see the structure, oh, and the other rule of thumb, guys, as you see, I'm going towards the tip of the ear. Don't ever try to go up toward the end of the ear. Don't try to go in sideways, okay? You always want to put the tip of your shears towards the tip of their ears. Never ever try to go any other direction. Pretty much all your slicing is going to be down, okay? And this is just going to help break up that mat a little bit. If you can sit there and finger pull it, okay, do that. But once you kind of can see what's going on, you can see the structure of those mats, and you can kind of just simply slice them up into tiny little pieces, okay? You still want to have some. She's dirty, so granted, I'm going to wash her afterwards, but this is so that when I go to wash, I can get that ear nice and clean, and when I go to dry, I'm not going to have big fluffy fuzzy ears, okay? So then this is where you can start brushing really gently. You can see what's going to come out really easy and what's not. Okay, and her ear leather is still way up there. Okay, what I'm brushing on is not even, I start at the tip and I work my way up. And it's easier if I can do it this way, guys. Sorry. I'm not good at working on the other side of the dog. But once you can start to see what comes out, what doesn't, and if it's not going to brush out easy, again, just take this, and when you do put your scissors in there, make sure that you can, again, see the other end of your shears before you commit either to cut or slice. The other thing is, this is where, this is dull, but this helps really pick those mats up even smaller, okay? Even a dull carding comb will work, so that when you go to do this, you can run a comb through it and get the rest of those little knots out, okay? You want to take all these little things out. Now, the one thing I was going to show you guys, if you guys have one of these, it takes a little more skill at doing this, so I would prefer you guys practice and play around with this. We'll see how she handles this. But you take this on a 40 setting, okay? And instead of taking your scissors, you take these and you kind of just slice the mat right down the middle. Not every dog is going to take this. She's out of the camera. Come here, guys. Come here, baby. So we take this. So these are sideways on the ear, and basically I'm just going to go sideways across, cutting that that mat. if she'll stay in the photo, in the thing for you. Okay, so you can go through and you can slice that mat open if you have a little, this is a 3-in-1, like I said, but it still has a 40 setting, and you can slice through those mats that way if you aren't comfortable with scissors. But a lot of times the dogs don't like that. So, so I pretty much want to brush her out, and normally I would have her hooked up like on my Groomer's helper so that she's not all over the place, but I'm trying to video this for you guys so you guys can see. And when you use a carding tool or a dematting tool, it's not trying to rip through the coat. Okay, you basically go in, you hook it, and then it's the little flick that's cutting that coat. Okay, cutting that mat in half. So you get into this little rhythm right here, and you can see how it's breaking up those little mats and making it easier. By cutting it first and then bringing this in, you don't pull and damage as much. Trust me, this is still very damaging to the coat if this is what you want to save. Stay over here, baby girl. Okay, and this is not going to take like 5 seconds or 5 minutes. This is going to take a little bit to work through all of this coat. And if you get to a point where you can at least sort of run a comb through it, I'm hoping she's still on the camera for you guys, and she's tolerating quite a bit of this. Okay, this is pretty typical behavior. She doesn't come often enough. She really doesn't know what's going on. I'm trying to save something on her so she's not naked, and she doesn't necessarily have the cut that I'm going to desire, having to shave her ears if I have to. So I'll spend a little extra time right here, right now, before I put her in the bath, brushing this out, or getting it to a stage where I can get it washed, and what hair and mats that are there, I'm going to basically brush out at the end. Because blow drying and brushing this out at the same time will be a lot easier as well. So that's the other thing. If you just go through and slice these up and kind of break it up some, you can get in there and get a shampoo, get it really, really clean. You can use a de-shed shampoo on hair like this. This really helps some of the matting come out. I don't just necessarily use conditioner like everyone else does. I find it just weights the coat down too much for me, and I don't like it. I will use a conditioner on a maintenance dog that I'm not grooming. So if it's just a dog that's coming in for a maintenance, I'll put conditioner on. And as you see, you're gentle. Obviously, we all know that. We want to be gentle when doing this. Okay, but we can get this ear brushed out. And by just slicing it up, it just makes it that much easier without having to shave it. And then we'll deal with the shape of what we got left over. And you can just see it's all coming right out. I still got this little bit right here. Other than that ear is pretty much brushed out. And again, you'll brush it out and do it again when you're drying. But this, you'll see how frizzy it is now. If you did this after you washed it, and then you tried to brush it out and dry it on your finished groom, you can see how fluffy, fuzzy, and more or less it's kinky. I'm trying to get this camera to focus, but it just doesn't look very pretty. It doesn't lay straight like the rest of her hair does. And when you do that, it's just going to mat up and tangle up even worse when you get home, or when the dog gets home, because all that hair is damaged. If we can wash it and get it to lay down and blow dry it straight so we seal that coat. And when I say seal, if you imagine split ends on your hair, okay, we've all seen the little, what do you call it? I can't even think at the moment. But basically our hair shaft, and then it has all these little things, layers sticking up. We seal it. We lay that down so that it also closes the hair off. Less dirt gets in there. They don't get as dirty. Same thing. When frizzy hair happens, you have all these little bits and pieces of the hair that are sticking up on that shaft of the hair. and you want to make that lay down. And so this does not become matted and tangled as quickly. Okay, this is where I also tell my clients that don't wait till it's a problem to come see me. Come see me beforehand. So if you're matting up on week 6, they need to be coming to see me that week. So I try to train my clients to bring their dogs in before this happens, because they know that I can, even if she was like this in a few spots on her body, my clients know now that the first thing that I do is not going to be is to shave the dog, because I can sit and save this. And again, I do it if the dog will tolerate it. She's tolerating this quite well, so that I can show you guys. I mean, obviously not every dog likes this, but she's tolerating it enough for me to brush and get it to brush out. So I just have a little bit more on the front of that ear, but you can see. And the other thing is you can still hear knots and stuff like that. When it goes through and you don't hear the brush kind of raking across it, then you know you have it all brushed out. But there's some bits here underneath the ear that I think I'm going to shave. But just to show you, I mean, like I said, this ear is pretty much almost all brushed out. The tips are done. And it already looks 100% better, doesn't it, than it does over here on this side. But yeah, no, I just wanted to show those little tips and tricks. You can take your scissors and slice through, and you can just basically go right down the ear, like so. You're in my shot. I'm trying to show everybody, kiddo. Always go towards the tip of the ear and make sure that your scissors are straight up and down. Okay, your blades are straight up and down like this. Don't try to cut like this. You can do it with a smaller pair if you like. There are times where you can use thinning shears, but I just find that's a harder, bigger pain in the butt to get the shears through. So, or you can slice and kind of seesaw through. That's going to save the most hair. So yeah, there's a few tools. Basically all your favorite tools that you're going to use them. So I hope this helps you guys, and at least you can save something, because I'll do this. This is the same thing I'll do on the tail. So if the dog's matted on the tail, I will do the same thing there. I'm going to finish her off because I have already spent way too long trying to just shave off this coat because she was wearing one. Alright guys, thanks. Invite your friends and keep commenting. Thanks.